We will now learn how to solve decimals, well, solve equations with decimals. And the key strategy with this is going to be the following. The key strategy is going to be multiplying by multiples or powers of 10. Key strategy, multiply by powers of 10. So I'm going to go ahead and write that up there and then cover what I mean by that, powers of 10. So using the strategy of multiplying by powers of 10, you can clear out a decimal. And what I mean by that is you'll see something like 0.8 x. Let me clean that up a little bit. Bring the weight down. 0.8. You'll see 0.8x equals, let's say, 6. Just picking a number. So you'll see something like that. And what you need to think about is if I multiplied by 10 or 100 or 1000 or any of those numbers which are powers of 10, I could accomplish something. Multiply by 10, multiply by 10. Well, when you multiply 0.8 by 10, you get what? You get 80, right? Sorry, 8. You get 8. 0.8 times 10 is 8. And then on the other side, well, on this side you get 8x, and on the other side you get 60. And once you get there, it's just a matter of a one-step solve, right? So people find that the decimals look harder or more complicated, but if you just use this one key strategy, you can simply solve them. So what if we had 0.08? Let's keep it the exact same, equals 6. So what if we had 0.08? How do we, well, what we do is we clear with the smallest possible power of 10. If we multiplied by 10, again, we would get to not 8, but we get to 0.8x. So one way to think about this is anytime you multiply by a power of 10, you would move the whole number over a decimal place. So this would be equal to 0.8. That's not going to do it. That's not going to work. It's not going to accomplish what we want. What we need to do is multiply by the least or the smallest power of 10 needed. In this case, 100. So 100. Multiply both sides by 100. And then you have 8x equals 600. Okay. Yep. You have 8x equals 600. Now, don't get it mixed up. These two are not equivalent equations. 0.8x equals 6 is not equivalent to 0.08x equals 6. So I don't want that to be confusing to you. So do you see that what I do want you to see, and I'm going to do another example here. Let's take 0.5x, and let's say it equals, let's flip it around and say it equals 8. All right, well, when we see that, how do we approach this problem? We multiply by the minimum number power of 10. In this case, it would be just 10, just 10. Multiply both sides and you get 5x equals 80. 5x equals 80. Now you've gotten back to a one-step equation again. So let's erase all of this and let's do one more example just to really knock it home here in the introduction portion. When you are given a problem like 0.02x equals 4. Okay, you need to multiply it by a power of 10. What power of 10 do you need to use? Well, you need to use the second power of 10, or 100, to get this to equal 2x. And you multiply this side by 100, and this equals 400. So you see, decimals are quite simple when you use that key strategy. Now I'm going to scroll down, I'm going to give you another example here. That example is going to be when we have, say, 0.2x plus a whole number, so plus 3 equals 7. Well, we can approach this two ways. Probably the simplest way is going to be, let's subtract 3 from, no, let's not even do that. Let's do rather, let's go ahead and multiply by what power of 10 to clear the decimal 0.2? Remember, that's why we're multiplying by powers of 10. That would be 10. This becomes 2x plus 30, because we distribute this 10 onto both, equals, we have to multiply both sides by 10, equals 70. We would subtract 30 from both sides, and 2x equals 40. And then we simply divide both sides by 2 to get x equals 20. For example, now let's go this way. What if we had 0.4x equals 0.8? How do we approach that problem? We have a decimal on both sides now. Well, let's multiply both sides by, what power do we need to multiply it by? 10. This time it's 10. Okay, that gives us 4x equals 8. Then we simply divide both sides by 4 to get x equals 2. I want to scroll down and give you one more decimal on both sides examples. That will be 0.08x equals 0.4. Let's take that one. So what is the approach we take on this type of problem? What do you think? Well, the approach we need to take is the multiplying by the power of 10. That's going to clear the decimals on both sides. So how big does that need to be? That needs to be the second power of 10, or I have to squeeze it in here. It's going to be 100. 100. Because we can't use 10 because it won't clear out the side with the variable. So that's going to be equal to, this side will be 8 now. 8x equals, and this side will become 40. All right, because we just, what's 0.4 times 100? It's 40. And then we simply divide both sides by 8, and we get x equals 5. Okay, that's a few examples for you. Just want to remind you the key strategy. What power of 10 do I need to take to clear the decimals on both sides? Okay? If the equation we just did was reversed, and it was 0.08 over here and 0.4x over here, I would again multiply by the power 100 to clear it. Okay? Let's move down, and as always, do a set of practice problems. So here is 4 questions with decimals. We have decimals with added to whole numbers, and actually let's add one more on here. You do this one on the bottom, 0.02x equals 0.4. We're going to add that one on there. So you go ahead and do all 5 of these, and I'll work through them myself. All right, I hope you had a great deal of success doing that. Now it's my turn. I'm going to multiply both sides by 10 to get 6x equals 120. I'm going to divide both sides by 6 to get x equals 20. X equals 20. All right, we're going to go over to this top right over here. We're going to multiply both sides by 10. Multiply both sides by 10 to get 5x equals 40. Divide both sides by 5 to get x equals 8. Okay? And I'm going to go ahead and scroll down. We're going to rewrite this one down here. 0.02x equals 0.4. I'm going to put that one in there for the decimals on both sides. Now we'll handle this one in pink. We need to multiply both sides by 10 to clear that decimal. We get 3x plus 40 equals 100. We subtract 40 from both sides, and we get 3x equals 60. And when we divide both sides by 3, we'll put it right here, x equals 20. That's our final answer. X equals 20. Let's take on green up here. And we're going to multiply both sides by 10. Multiply both sides by 10. We get 2x plus 10 equals 50. We're going to subtract 10 from both sides. And we get 2x equals 40. And we're going to divide both sides by 2. We're going to get x equals 20. All right, great. That's those two. That's our final answer. X equals 20 again. So very cool. And now one more problem. We have a decimal on both sides. So what power of 10 do we need to raise this to? Well, this side has 2 decimal places. So we need to raise it to a power of 100, not 10, 100. And 0.02x times 100 is 2x equals 0.4 times 100 is 40. Now we divide by 2, and we get x equals 20. I did not mean to get x equals 20 on that orange one, but sometimes it works out that way. So that was the video here. Don't let the decimals trip you up. It's a simple thing to clear out the decimals and then solve it that way.